Thank you, Presiding Officer. I am pleased we now have this debate on the National Planning Framework number 4, which clearly focuses on empowering communities to make change, and I support this motion. The revised draft of the NPF4 lays out sustainable policies to guide Scotland's net zero plan and approach for the next decade, and I've been actively involved in NPF4, in particular in 2 specific areas, which I will focus on today. One is vacant, abandoned and derelict sites, especially in our rural towns, and the other is permitted development rights. And the Minister has been very supportive with me on both of these matters. So firstly, Presiding Officer, vacant, abandoned, derelict sites. I brought this issue to Parliament right before the recess, and the legacy of Scotland's industrial past means that almost a third of Scottish population currently lives within 500 metres of a derelict site. It's 11,000 hectares of derelict land. That's equivalent to 9,000 football pitches. And we took evidence at Health Committee, and additionally research shows that living near these eyesore, blighted, derelict sites affects the mental health of a community. And the benefits of addressing derelict sites are therefore obvious. The Scottish Land Commission says heels are being dragged when it comes to bringing about the change needed, and the Commission also says addressing derelict sites has been dumped on the too difficult pile. It is interesting to just reiterate from the Commission that it's seen as it's too big, it's too complex, it's too expensive to fix, and this simply isn't true. We need to stop telling ourselves that it can't be done, and we need to recognise that transforming derelict sites is a massive opportunity. Presiding, yes, of course I will.
Paul Sweeney.
I thank the member for giving me, particularly as 1,000 of those football pitches are in Glasgow, so it's quite a big issue for my city, for sure. Would the member agree that we really need to look at ways in which we can communicate that negative transmission of blight onto a community, onto the owner of that land, perhaps through a punitive charge on rates, for example, so that they are actually forced to do something with it or sell it on to someone who will?
Emma Harper.
Yep, that's a great point Paul Sweeney has made there, and I'm actually coming on to issues around owners in my comments coming up. Many proposals in the National Planning Framework number 4 include reference to sites and policies to address derelict sites, such as incentivising brownfield regeneration, including for derelict sites, which will allow the brownfield sites to be transformed into housing, community spaces, or whatever the community chooses. 2 examples of regeneration are the Clyde Gateway project, which the Minister visited recently, and the Cunningham Housing's transformation of the vacant primary school in Lockerbie into a community hub. I'm happy to facilitate a visit with the Minister there also. The revised NPF4 makes clear that Scotland won't compromise on the climate crisis and empowering communities. We have many derelict sites in Dumfries and Galloway, Presiding Officer, and the Scottish borders, like the George Hotel and the East Pier in Stranraer, the Interfloor Gates Factory in Dumfries, Central Hotel in Arnhem and the Mercury Hotel in Moffat, and then 2 in the borders in Hawick, Enpeel and the Glenmark buildings, and many others too. And in trying to address these sites, I've faced numerous challenges with the owners and local authorities. Councils respond to me saying they've got limited powers, and it's hard to even elicit response from the registered owners. That's one of the challenges that we really need to figure out what we can do about that. So I want to briefly highlight what local authorities can do, and then I'll show how this is enhanced with NPF4. Local authorities can already issue a wasteland notice requiring an owner or person responsible to take specific action on a site. And if the responsible person refuses, the local authority can carry out work themselves and claim back the cost from the owner under the Town and Country Planning Scotland Act 1997. Also, under the Building Scotland Act 2003, councils can issue a dangerous buildings notice. And additionally, the local authority or community can, under the Land Reform Act 2003, compulsory purchase building or land to act on it. And these are not unsubstantial powers. And I know that the Government are committed to compulsory sale orders in the future. NPF4 will be powered through significant public and private investment. I don't think I've got time, Mr Briggs, sorry. We know that NPF4 will be powered through the significant public and private investment with cross-government cooperation. It will identify funding streams through Infrastructure Investment Plan and the Place-Based Investment Programme. So these funding streams will open up the possibility for local authorities and private investors to access funding streams, particularly which could allow for the transformation of our brownfield derelict sites. This is welcome, but I ask the Minister to clearly communicate with local authorities and private partners regarding what funding possibilities there are and how NPF4 can transform our derelict sites. Presiding Officer, turning briefly to permitted development, I welcome that NPF4 will address the legal loophole which caused numerous issues in my region. Shooting activity, including shooting using high-velocity weapons of up to 50 calibre, is currently allowed to take place without planning permission. Permitted development rights are used. Class 15 of the Town and Country Planning General Permitted Development Scotland Order 1992 permitted development rights allow for a temporary use of land for a different purpose for up to 28 days in a calendar year. So the 28-day rule has been capitalised to include shooting activities. So I thank the Minister for listening to me on this matter and the commitment in NPF4 that permitted development will be reformed, and I look forward to progress on that. In conclusion, NPF4 marks a turning point in Scotland's planning system and a boost to our just transition journey. It's time to get NPF4 in place and begin implementation. Thank you.